Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're coming from. Excited to talk today about ExFlow AP. In today's info session, we're going to do a dive into ExFlow AP and give you 20 tips in 20 minutes to help you with some cool functionality in ExFlow that maybe you're not aware of yet. So let's get right into it. Just some guidelines for the info session today. Microphones, cameras, those will be remain off throughout the session. As a result of that, verbal questions, they won't be possible. So please feel free, if you do have any questions, to use the chat function. We won't address any of those questions during the info session, but we'll have some time towards the end of it where I'll respond to your questions afterwards. During the session, we will demonstrate tips in the latest version of ExFlow and Business Central. Just a reminder, if you are using an older version, the interface might appear a bit different, so just please take that into consideration. And we'll be here talking for about 25 minutes. And just like I mentioned, with that chat box, go ahead and use that there in your Teams invite, and you can use that to ask any questions. All right. Getting right into it for today with our agenda. Again, 20 tips in 20 minutes. We're going to cover the following topics that you see on your screen. So user-related settings, talk about some tips in the import journals, the approval status page, as well as some really cool reports and insights that we'll talk about, some other key functionality that we'll dive into, and also some automation settings. We will be sending a follow-up email after the session with helpful links and resources related to today's topics as well. So getting into our first tip, ExFlow documentation platform. Our documentation platform is a go-to resource for all things related to our products. It features our online user manual, release notes, and quick access to video tutorials. You also have a search function up in that top right corner where you can search in there and find anything that you need pretty quick. In addition to today's topics, you'll also find detailed information about our other solutions in our documentation platform, including ExFlow Web, ExFlow Sales Order, CO2 Insights, Content Gate, and Travel and Expense. So whether you're looking for a quick how-to guide or want to dive deeper into our latest updates, the documentation platform has that information for you. As far as user-related settings go, and getting into our second tip of the day, how to block a user and unblock a user. So let's say that a user is leaving your company and you need to remove their access. This is how to do it efficiently. If you go to your ExFlow users and search for that specific user, you're going to open their user card and click block/unblock user. When you block a user, you can give a new user access, and you'll see two optional settings: access history, which will give access to historical documents, and replace approval rules to replace the user in existing approval rules and those coding rules. By enabling those options, you can seamlessly transfer access and responsibilities without having to manually update everything yourself as far as your approval rules and your coding goes. All right. For our third tip, sending reminders for pending approvals. So while scheduled daily jobs are a great way to automate reminders, you also have the flexibility to send manual reminders. So either for individual documents or in bulk. The most common setup involves a daily scheduled job that automatically sends out reminders to users about pending document approvals. However, there are several additional ways to ensure important approvals don't fall through the cracks. From the approval status page, you can select a single document and click send reminder. That will send the current approver an email with the relevant document details. Or you can select multiple lines, multiple documents where you can send those notifications out to those users in bulk. You can also do it from the user card. So if you navigate to that user card, select send reminder, that user will receive a summary email with all documents currently awaiting their approval. These options give you greater control and flexibility in managing your approval workflows, ensuring nothing gets delayed or overlooked. As far as our fourth tip goes, don't forget to set your replacers before summer vacations. Well, we're in peak summer season, and that means that vacation time, that means some vacation time for us. Before you head out, make sure to set up your replacers so approvals don't get stuck while you were away. There's two easy ways to assign a replacer. You can do this in Business Central. If you go to their user card, click Add Replacer. You can choose to apply that replacer for all companies or just a specific one. And you can also easily remove replacers from the same place when needed. Those users can also do it themselves in ExFlow Web. Users will log in, click the replacer icon at the bottom left of the homepage, and on the same screen, they can also check if they're currently acting as a replacer for someone else. Just a quick important note, when a replacer is active, both the original user and the replacer can approve those documents. But only one approval is needed to move the approval process forward. And setting up replacers is a simple step that helps keep your workflows running smoothly, even when your team is out enjoying some well-deserved time. Right. Going into ExFlow import journals, that wraps up our user-related settings. So we'll look at this page right now. And for our fifth tip, working with lines in Excel using a template that you download in the import journal. So if you prefer working in Excel, you still can. Here's how it works. If you go to the import journal, navigate to the actions menu, you can then select download import line Excel template to get that file format that you need. From there, you can fill in those lines directly in Excel, and whenever you're finished, go back to your actions and choose import lines from Excel to import your updates. It's fast and flexible, a way to handle multiple lines, especially useful if you're working with some larger volumes of data. For our sixth tip, blocking documents from creation or posting. You can block a document from being created in the import journal or being posted in the approval status page. If you want to block it from being created in the import journal, you would use this option if you want to exclude certain documents from being created. For example, if you're planning to batch create a lot of documents in the import journal, this allows you to leave selected documents untouched while proceeding with the others. And then for block from posting, with this setting, the document can still be created. It can still be sent out for approval, but it cannot be posted in the approval status. So again, even after it's been approved, if the posting is attempted, the system will show an error message indicating the block. And then to remove that block, simply go to that approval status and adjust the settings under that approval card. For our seventh tip today, saving coding to a vendor. So if you want to save time on your recurring invoices, definitely use the save coding to vendor functionality in the import journal to streamline that process. If you have a vendor that frequently sends invoices with the same coding details, you can save those details as a purchase code directly on the vendor card. It's fast, efficient, helps ensure consistency. How to do it is you'll be, when you're in the import journal, position yourself on the relevant line on the relevant invoice, go to Actions, Functions, Save Coding to Vendor. A window will appear where you can adjust or confirm the coding details. And then once it's saved, the purchase code will be visible on both the ExFlow vendor card and under ExFlow purchase codes. What this means is that from now on, whenever you receive a document from your vendors, that saved coding will be automatically applied, saving you time and reducing risk of manual errors. For our eighth tip today, select and process specific documents. So if you're looking for a little bit of flexibility when creating or posting documents, you're not limited to just one or all. You can select specific documents to process in both the import journal and the approval status page. So in the import journal, to create specific invoices, mark those desired documents by clicking on the dots next to each line, and then click select more, and then mark those other documents you want to create, and then create those documents through the import journal. In the approval status page, when documents are ready to be posted, mark the ones you want to be posted using that same method, and then go to actions and then post, and only the marked documents that you selected will be posted. Now, going into the ExFlow approval status page and some tips in here. Going into our ninth tip, highlight rejected and overdue documents in your approval status page. So if you want a quick visual cue for spotting rejected or any overdue documents, there's a simple setting in ExFlow that does just that by highlighting those lines in red within the approval status view. And the way to enable it is if you go to your ExFlow setup, scroll all the way down to the escalation section, enable the option highlight rejected and overdue documents in the field labeled number of overdue days before highlight, enter a number. For example, entering 0 means the line will turn red on the due date of that invoice or that document. This makes it much easier to quickly identify and act on any delayed or rejected documents without having to dig through each line manually. For our 10th tip, always propose new approvers. So approval rules and dynamic approval rules in ExFlow allow the system to automatically detect and apply correct approval flows, even when changes are made to a document in ExFlow Web. So this is also made possible through a setting called always propose new approvers. When it's enabled, ExFlow will reassess and apply updated approval rules based on the latest changes, no manual adjustments needed. So an example for here is, let's say your approval rules are based on dimensions such as departments. A user updates a document on web and changes the department from administration to sales. The user then approves their document, and with the always propose new approvers function active, ExFlow will automatically check whether a different approval rule is more appropriate based on the new dimension value, and if so, it will apply that new rule. This ensures that the right people are always involved in the approval process, even when document details change midway. That concludes our tips on approval statuses. Now we're going to do a dive into some reports and insights. For our 11th tip, exploring ExFlow's reporting features, ExFlow offers a variety of reports organized into 3 key categories: documents, users, and approval rules. Simply hover over the report names to see a brief description of what each report includes. Some popular reports from this selection is our ExFlow user replacers. This report, you can choose individual users or all users to view current and past replacers. And then you can select a date range and decide whether you want to preview that data or create an external file. For our second option, ExFlow approval status reports, this will display all documents awaiting approval and those that haven't been posted yet. This is great for month-end accruals, where you can use those filters to select specific periods and document statuses. And in that report, it will also create a journal entry from all those filtered documents, which allows you to post the costs in the current month and then reverse them if the document hasn't been approved or posted in time. These reports and other reports are useful for insight in your workflows, and you can find more info regarding them on our documentation platform. As far as functionality goes, now that we've covered reports, going into our 12th tip for automating details on invoice lines with purchase codes. If you want to save time and reduce manual work, use your purchase codes to automate the assignment of accounts, items, or types to those document lines. This eliminates the need to repeatedly assign the same details, freeing up time for other tasks. So how these purchase codes work is you can connect them to vendors, to reference codes, to ExFlow contracts, or set them up directly in the ExFlow setup page. And a great example here is if you frequently receive recurring invoices from a vendor with repetitive lines featuring the same accounts, you can quickly create a purchase code linked to that vendor using the Save Coding to Vendor option in the import journal. And how it works during the import is when importing an invoice, ExFlow can automatically apply that relevant purchase code, ensuring proper accounts and other details related to the coding of that invoice are assigned to the document lines. Some of the benefits that are there, line splitting. You can split lines based on a percentage, fixed amounts of those invoices or documents, and you can also start applying those dimensions that are applicable for those documents with that invoice. You can also apply deferral codes at that level. This automation saves time, reducing errors by ensuring consistency across recurring transactions. For our 13th tip, using ExFlow references to apply invoice logic. So ExFlow references a very powerful tool that is used for applying logic to invoices imported with a reference that then triggers a specific action during that import process. So how they work is that with a reference, you can automatically trigger actions like assigning specific approvers, vendors, dimensions, and specifying accounts on the lines. They're very versatile. A reference can be anything from a name on the invoice to phone numbers to service addresses. And you can even have variations in spelling or other unique values that ExFlow can interpret from those reference codes. So on the reference codes, you can add those related reference values. For example, let's say a vendor spells names differently or incorrectly. Those reference values allow you to manage this matching anyway. In the video here, we're highlighting where you can add the related reference values as seen here on the screen. And you can streamline your workflow with those by activating a setting called automatically create ExFlow reference in the ExFlow setup. This setting allows it will create a reference code automatically when a new ExFlow user is created, saving you time, reducing manual work. Okay. For ExFlow contracts, managing your recurring documents with these ExFlow contracts, it gives you full control over those recurring expenses. So leases, telephone bills, rental products, and more. It helps streamline your process by setting up a contract based on those terms and providing automatic alerts for any discrepancies when importing those documents. Some key features about these contracts, everything matches. ExFlow can automatically approve invoices, eliminating the need for manual approval. You can even set that up for direct posting if you prefer that as well. You get complete control and automation where this dual approach allows you to maintain that control, automating the approval and posting processes, saving you time on those repetitive tasks. And before using contracts, you can configure ExFlow Omni Approval to have another user in Business Central review and approve the configuration of that contract. Some other additional benefits with these contracts, you get an overview in the fact box of the amount of those documents connected to those contracts and all those periods that you have set up. You can also set up details like tolerance levels, either by an amount or a percentage. And what's really cool is we can also have these contracts created to be self-billing, which is really useful for regular payments to a vendor without receiving, where you don't actually receive invoices. These contracts can create those invoices for you. And now that we've gone over some various functions, let's explore some of the automation settings to help you streamline your workflow even more. For our 15th tip, configure vendor-specific settings in the ExFlow vendor setup. In the ExFlow vendor setup, it's a central place to configure ExFlow options tailored to specific vendors. So you can access this by searching for ExFlow vendor setup, or you can find it through some shortcuts in the import journal or ExFlow setup. Some key configurations here are approval rules. You can assign predefined accounts and purchase codes. And you can also set up some automation points at that vendor level where background processing, and I'll talk about background processing in a bit, but for example, you can set up automation points where invoices from a specific vendor can automatically post documents. And if you want this setting to only apply to specific vendors, that's where you would set it up here at the ExFlow vendor setup. For our 16th tip, streamlining document processing and ExFlow data capture. If you are using EDC, this tip will help streamline that processing. How it works is once you've processed several documents in ExFlow data capture and you have the confidence in the reading of your invoices with that vendor, and when the system has learned enough, you can enable this setting, allow complete documents to bypass verification. What this setting does is for that chosen vendor, if all required data is captured correctly and everything is marked as green or valid, the document will be processed and automatically moved over to Business Central without needing any further verification, meaning less manual work, and you can spend more time in ExFlow data capture on invoices that do need your attention. To enable that setting at the vendor level, within ExFlow data capture, you select that pencil icon next to the vendor, and you can select that toggle to allow complete documents to bypass verification. Okay. For our 17th tip, auto import of verified documents, documents that have been verified in ExFlow data capture and have a status of export in progress, they can be imported automatically into Business Central using a job queue entry. Some benefits of this, obviously the automated import, that job queue entry will handle that import process into BC, reducing some manual effort there. And you can also set that import frequency in the job queue entry to minimize wait time between ExFlow data capture verification and the actual import into Business Central. If you need any help setting that up or you're unfamiliar with job queue entries, feel free to reach out to us and contact your support team for guidance. For our 18th tip, enabling automatic creation of documents in ExFlow. So we'd like you to enable this if all interpreted documents should automatically be created from the ExFlow import journal. So when it's enabled, all those interpreted documents that don't have any errors or warning messages, those will be automatically created and automatically sent out for approval. This can be configured at the vendor level on the ExFlow vendor setup, and it will, if enabled on the ExFlow vendor setup, it will only provide that functionality for that vendor. You can set it up for at the import journal batch level. So all invoices selected in those batches will have documents automatically created. And you can also make this a global setup where you can activate it for all vendors and all documents across all your batches. When that's activated, interpreted documents from the selected vendor will automatically be created, again, provided that there are no errors or warnings. Okay. And for our 19th tip, automating invoice posting by bypassing the verify changes step. So this function allows you to automate that invoice posting by bypassing verify changes in the approval status page for specified values in those ExFlow web columns. So how you can activate this in ExFlow setup. You can then add the allowed values that should bypass the verification step. For example, some specific accounts are set as the allowed values. This means that the web approver can modify the GL account within that filter. And then if the web approver makes any changes to the coding within the allowed values filter, the approved document will be automatically bypassed from being manually handled in the verify changes step in the approval status, and it will go from approved to ready for posting, enabling a faster posting process. And our last tip today to wrap up, here are some automation settings that can help streamline your processes and maximize the efficiency of ExFlow. You can find these under the ExFlow setup and background processing tab. These settings apply to all your vendors as it's a global setup. You can find these 4 settings. The first 2 are verify with job queue and verify and post with job queue. What these do to documents is that they will verify documents automatically in the approval status page, or verify and then post if no changes have been made to the documents in the web by your users. If ticking these 2, the jobs are automatically set up and they'll run in the background automatically. You also have the verify changes done automatically function. This one runs automatically at all times. This simply means that if no changes are made on the web by your users, then the document will automatically be marked with the status of ready to be posted, meaning you don't have to verify all the documents manually, saving you some time with that step. And then the last one is automatically creating documents. I mentioned this tip in number 18, but this will then create those documents in the import journal automatically if there's no action or warning messages. These were the 20 tips we had today. Of course, there's so many more things that you can do. These are just a few of the many settings and function available in ExFlow to help you streamline your workflows and increase efficiency. To get help or find out how you can improve your use of ExFlow, please do not hesitate to reach out to support. And a quick note that I do want to say is that we're very excited to announce our very first North America Customer Summit on October 19th. Sign Up North America will be hosting an in-person event at the start of Dynamics Community Summit in Orlando this year. This will be an event full of product updates, discussion, and a chance to meet our team and other customers in person. And invites for this get-together will be sent out soon. For information on upcoming info sessions, we do have one on September 11th going through ExFlow travel and expense, where we will review similar to what we did today, but 10 tips in 10 minutes. And then on October 9th, we have an info session regarding ExFlow references and purchase codes, how to set those up, and when they should be used and are most applicable for your business processes. Thank you for joining us today again, and the link to register is included in the email you will receive after the session. If you ever have any questions about the info sessions, feel free to reach out to me, or you can contact another sign-up employee for registration. All right, that's everything I have to show today. Thank you, and everyone have a great day. I don't think I have any questions in the chat box.